G'day guys, goeiedag and kia ora. My name is Wildkard. Welcome back, and yes, I am going to talk about rugby league. And yes, in my part of the world, New Zealand, Australia, rugby league has been very influential in the way that the game is changing here in our part of the world, in Super Rugby specifically. And this week I actually read a couple of really good articles on ABC News. I'm going to show you guys right here that actually, kind of like turn a light bulb on in my head as to what we are doing in rugby union and how that compares to what rugby league is doing. Right, we are literally engaged in like a game of, we do exactly what you're doing. Like the philosophy of how the game is being managed, right? In terms of how rugby league is managing the game of rugby league. And Rugby Australia, New Zealand Rugby is literally following the same playbook as rugby league. All the way down to the critical measure for success, and that is ball in play time, right? All the way down to the spreadsheet stats that we're following through, and it's starting to get, it really started to make sense suddenly. And believe it or not, the way that rugby league is managing the spreadsheet is starting to hurt them in the game of rugby league, as we will find out in a moment as I talk about these articles. So let's just go back a little bit, right? If you're a rugby, a Super Rugby fan, you will notice that the referee is starting to get, to manufacture excitement in the game of rugby, right? It's starting to manufacture more game ball in play time by not blowing penalties. Forward passes being ignored left and right. We see that like almost every game, right? Scrums, the referee reluctant to be called, reluctant to repack, and then, penalties and stuff just being brushed over. And there's like a massive reluctance to really just stop the game because we got to follow the metric, ball in play time, right? And this is really starting to get to a point where I complain quite a bit throughout the season in multiple games where the referee just, the decision making has been so quick. Sometimes the wrong decision is made, right? And sometimes when the right decision is made, it's so quickly brushed over that the people watching at home is not even sure what is going on. Have I talked about this? There was literal games, literal games, live games I've attended where seems like a try being scored, no explanations whatsoever, play on, and no checking whatsoever, and everybody's left confused sitting on the sideline. So we've all seen this little bit of problem in rugby union, and this week I actually watched State of Origin. It just finished as well, and these articles kind of explain what rugby league's doing and how that relates to what we're doing in rugby union, right? Because in rugby league, they also work on spreadsheet stats, right? And just like what we are doing, they're trying to get the referees to create more tries. Now, you might be asking, well, God, how did the referees create more tries? Like, are they cheating? No. But the referees has been instructed to give away what's called 6 again. Essentially like a minor penalty or minor infringement. They just basically reset your penalty count. Not penalty count, your tackle count. You get another 6 opportunities to attack. And the referee has been instructed not just, give away these 6 again more often, right? But more often in the start of the game to try to stimulate the scoreline early to get people interested in watching the game. Yeah, and it's quite astonishing. It's not the referee's job to make the game entertaining. It's a player's job, right? But rugby league has instructed the referee to do exactly that, to make the game more entertaining. And as a result of this, right, because the referees are just giving out 6 again with very, very minor things that nobody even know what's going on, 2 things are occurring. Number one, there's a flood of blowout games. And one of the articles basically talked about how there were so many blowout games that people are losing interest. Like nobody wants to go and watch like a 40, 50, maybe you can see some of the scoreline. It's like just massive blowouts that nobody wants to just do that, right? Like, it's not even like a competitive environment anymore at that point. And as a result of just trying to give more teams resets more easily, they have manufactured a game where there's too many tries, being scored, especially when the top team plays the bottom team, right? And that's number 2, because the 6 again, unlike rugby union, when there's a penalty or something, the referee actually have to stop. In rugby league, they don't stop unless it's something really major you have to review, right? Most times it's like, okay, I think there's a little hand there or whatever, and little shenanigans in the rack or something. Maybe you hold down the player for a bit too long, then the referee's instructed, and they just go 6 again, then you play on. There's no stop. And because they've given out 6 again so often, and there's no review, people are just left. Even the coaches have come out and said, we don't even know what is happening. Like, why was that a 6 again? Like, what was infringement? And it's left like fans, coaches, all utterly confused about what is happening and what the penalties are given for. And one of the fundamental problem is that because of the way the game can be interpreted by the referee, it's all like subjective. They can just give out 6 again for almost anything. Like it's like that's basically what a tiny bit of infringement. They can say, okay, that's 6 again, and to the point where it's not even, if you look at strictly to the law, yeah, there should be a 6 again, but in reality, it's not. It doesn't actually affect the game at all. And it's just like complete nonsense for the referee to even give it an out in the first place. But that's what rugby league has been doing, and has led to these articles explaining how it's actually hurting their own game because of just trying to manufacture more excitement, more results, more tries, and it's actually hurting the game, and it's actually hurting some of the engagements. I mean, when it comes to the viewers, and not to mention the complaints from the coaches and players and fan base or alike. And I thought it was really interesting, right? Like rugby league is, and this is, the boring time play is a metric that they come up with, and they thought they need to manufacture even more excitement. And this is, something that I think Super Rugby is definitely needs to have a real look at how we are approaching it, because rugby union, we have to stop pretending rugby union is the same game as rugby league, right? Other than just passing the ball backs and running forward, majority of the game is different, right? Like I would say 80% to 90% of the game is different. And then to use the same, metrics and to use the same methodology by influencing the referee to manufacture excitement for the game, we really have to take a look at that. And I think we need to take a step back and really have a think about if that's the way we want to go down, because rugby league is starting to show that this pathway worked short term, right? It generates excitement in the short term, but in the mid to long term, the fans are starting to lose interest because people can see there's too many tries being scored. People can see the bullshit penalties given out for no reason, right? And there was one article as well that talked about, because the fact that the referees can do this, have a very loose, given instruction for a very loose interpretation of the law, right? Like knock on, just forget it if it's really small, forward passes, just forget it if it's close enough. Because the fact that they can have such a long, such a breadth, I guess, range of interpretation, it could actually lead to cheating from the referees, because the referees could literally be like making bets behind the scenes and then, betting on a team to win or lose for their own benefit. And whilst on the field, that's a marginal forward pass, I'll let it go. That's also marginal forward pass, I'll call it, right? And it could lead to these sort of situations as well. So yeah, it's something that I think Rugby Australia and New Zealand Rugby really needs to have a proper look at before we go forward. Now, I also talked about a lot of different things about like last week on my new Crusaders game, how the rugby union not really promoting the game, promoting the players like we should be. So this game, Blues versus the Maroons, I can't tell you how, like, the way that they promoted this matchup is like just absolute masterclass of just like promotion and advertising. So before the game, it's all about the comeback story of James Tedesco, right? Everybody loves James Tedesco. Teddy, right? Everybody loves Teddy. He's the captain of Australia. Even I don't even watch rugby league. And I've met James Tedesco, and I had a chat with him, and he's just like down to earth and talked to me and asked me how I was going. Like, who am I? James, the captain of Rugby League Australia, is asking me what I'm doing, how I'm going. Like, it's just like the nicest person you will ever meet. I can't actually say the same thing about, seriously, some of the Brumbies players I met, on the weekend, but that's a different story. So like, he's just such a nice guy. A lot of people love him, and he's kind of like fallen out of favor, and they just been building him up for the comeback. Oh, the Tedesco comeback is bringing back, he's back in finally back in the Blues, and the team was down 20 points to nil, got absolutely flogged, 20 points to nil, the Blues. The New South Wales team got flogged for the first half, 20 points to nil. Like, there was absolutely, like, just atrocious, right? Not only was it atrocious, but it started raining, and things only look worse, and the Queensland team, ironically, kicked the penalty goal. Yes, in a rugby league game, they kicked the penalty goal. They started playing prevent, right? Preventative rugby, like 40, 50 minutes still left in the game clock, and allowed the Blues to actually make the biggest comeback win like ever in State of Origin. The Blues claw back 22 unanswered points to win the game. There was also a send-off, a red card to Ponga for a high shot. Bit controversial. Almost like a rugby union decision there for the referee. Never legal, shoulder charge. But the last play of the game, and I cannot make this shit up. The last play of the game, New South Wales had to do it to win the match. No tackles, big air bomb, and everybody's running in to try to catch this ball. James Tedesco gets the ball and wins the match for the Blues. Like, you cannot make this up. Like, it's like they all, yeah. It's like, just the fact that they build him up for the comeback, and then it's like everybody's like, well, this team's not gonna, everybody's like leaving, like looking like we're gonna get completely flogged. For him to just single-handedly win the game, literally, boy, rugby league has done really, really well, and something that we just don't do. We just don't do anything remotely close to this in the game of rugby union. Like, seriously, like, it's unbelievable how well these guys have constructed this game of rugby league, right? Don't watch it, but Teddy is James Tedesco is quite a good man. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Talk about something else. Rassie Erasmus, the genius of rugby. Apparently, the Springboks gonna get a sponsor or something. I saw it on Instagram, and everyone's like freaking out. There's a new name coming for Springboks. Probably like a sponsorship, right? If I was to, if I was to guess who's gonna be the sponsor for the Springboks, I was gonna put in the name. Hopefully, for my sake, it's the Hollywood Bets Springboks. Just kidding. Don't get mad at me. It's just a joke, okay? We know the Sharks are. It's not the sponsor's fault, okay? But it'll be really funny. It'll be really funny. But anyway, Rassie is talking about the alignment camp, second alignment camp for the Springboks. 60 players that have gone through the alignment camp, including 10 new players that hasn't been in the camp. And, as always, I think it's just really smart for Rassie Erasmus. Because he has got so many players in so many different parts of the world that he needs to look after, such a huge pool of players. These alignment camps are not just a time for him to kind of like keep in check on, to try to select the best players, but it is also trying to get him to figure out which part, like how, what cycle of their performance is on, because players go up and down in their cycles. Not everyone can just be like good all the time. What part of the cycle the players are on, and try to figure out where they should bring them into the game, right? Sometimes you will see players didn't play in July, they go on to play in November. Some players play in Rugby Championship and they don't play in November because of the cycle of the players, players peak and trough in the physique. And it's really smart for Rassie to do this and bring a lot of new players as well, because not only that, he gets to see where they want, how they're traveling, to give him a taste of the Springboks environment, and also he can issue them homework and to let the players know how they should be working, and also just to give them that little bit of that, the winning Springbok culture that they can take back and use it in their club times, and maybe spread out some of that motivation to other players around them in the clubs. And it's just I think it's such a great top-down approach for Rassie Erasmus. And just, it is, they have England coming up in 4th of July. 4th of July is going to be such a huge huge Independence Day for all around the world of rugby. But yeah, it's Rassie, really smart, and it is another, I think, looking forward to see what it's going to bring out for the game of rugby. Speaking of the Springboks, they did have the Rugby World Cup at the Waratahs game. You didn't even have to buy a ticket to see it. It's just like left outside by the street, and we were talking about seriously stealing it, but all the I don't want to take rand for an offer. So, but yeah, it is a real Rugby World Cup. It's quite cool. Overall, I actually had a lot of fun at the Waratahs game. I do think I have influenced the game a little bit for the Waratahs. I was pretty happy. The Waratahs, was pretty down and out. Like, 7 points, 21, 15 minutes left, and it was here. I was sitting where the 40-meter, I was just sitting like right here, 40-meter line right here. And then when this was happening here, I screamed out, "No more box kick!" And you can see, when I screamed it out, the Waratahs players actually looked over as well. A lot of players looked over because thinking like trying to see who's calling it, right? Like, is this from our coaches, or is this like one of our trainers calling it, right? If you can see this, which I screamed out, "No more box kick." You can't hear it on TV, but I can see the players. They're all like looking over because they've all heard it. But Ryan Lonergan definitely heard it, because he was like, he looked up at this point here. He looked up, and he's completely put off by it. And then he kicked the ball out on the full, and he's just like furious. He's furious. He's just like looking over. This was great. He was furious. And after he kicked it out, I just like rubbed it in as well. I was like, "Yeah, I told you not to do it." It was brilliant. It was great. It was great. But they still won. The Waratahs did able to score after this. Okay, you can see it. That's me right there. That's me sitting right there. That's me right there. I was screaming at him. Wow, just giving it to them. That was good fun. It was really good fun. But Waratahs scored after this. So yeah, I was very happy. But yeah, even then, the Waratahs could not win the game. Super Rugby top 6 has been locked in. Last week, I actually made a mistake. I told everyone that the Waratahs still had a chance this week, because I thought if you were to win this weekend, the Waratahs would win with point difference. But no, apparently, if you have the same in points, the Reds will win by number of games won. That comes next before point difference. So sorry guys, the top 6 are already locked in. So, but yeah, still a little bit interesting to see if any of the Australian teams can even win the quarterfinal and move up just one rank. But we'll have to wait and see. The game that I'm most interested in this weekend. Hang on, what's this one? Oh yeah, so the Brumbies as well, right? On the weekend, 3 of the reserves was not used. One of them including Tame Edmund, and Larkin was like, the players were looking sharper back in the game. They didn't want to put him on because they think that the players looking sharp. I think that's a cop out. You had no trust in any of your players, right? Even let's just go back a tiny bit here, right? I'm just going to put on the commentary.
They're 14 points up, this Brumbies team. 2 kicks out on the full. First one from Tom Wright. Gives the Waratahs an opportunity inside. They look a bit edgy, don't they? 14 points.
So if you can hear, Michael Hooper even said that the Brumbies look a bit edgy. And this would have been a great time to put one of your players on to try to spice things up, to polish things up a little bit. But yeah, Larkham is like, yeah, everybody looked great. No trust in any of his reserves. But anyway, still looking for the big game this weekend, and that is the Western Force versus the Waratahs for the for pride, the battle of the rugby league superstars once again. Last time Swali got beaten, so hopefully we're gonna put a big step forward for him, especially set him up a bit better, and not to lose by a penalty goal, especially this time. So hopefully the Waratahs hammer home this final game for us. But let's have a look at the Waratahs game lineup for this final game against the Western Force. We got Jack Barry coming number 1. Is this Ryan Wananu? I thought he tweaked his knee. Yeah, he's back. I thought he tweaked his knee. It looked like he tweaked his knee, but he's apparently okay. Iwani Wananu comes back at number 2. Daniel Botia. What is it? No, how do you say it? Boita Daniel Boita comes in number 3. Matt Phillip number 4. Miles Amatasero number 5. Angus Scott out number 6. Moving back from move to 6 from 7. From 8. Jamie Addison comes in number 7. And Pete Samuel finish off at number 8. Jay Gordon comes in number 9. No, what's his name? No, Charlie Gamble, thumb injury. Oh my goodness. We've got Pete Samuel come back at number 8. Jamie Addison number 7 coming off from the bench. Jay Gordon comes in number 9. Jack Bowen comes in at number 10. Again this week. Andrew Callaway returns to number 11. Joey Walton number 12. Joseka Kususwali comes in number 13. Harry Porter comes in number 14. And Max Jorgensen finish up at number 15. Number 16, we've got Uniti Finau for the Waratahs. Isaac Hilaire, number 17. Apolosi Ranawai comes in at red. He's actually really, really great. He almost got another try on the weekend. Ben Grant comes number 19. Clint Halaholo, number 20. Teddy Wilson comes number 21. Jack DeBrusini, number 22. And Tristan Riley will be finish up at number 23 for the Waratahs. For the Western Force, comes in number 1, Harry Johnson Holmes, Brendan Panga, also number 2, Missy Nali Penisa, I don't know who this guy, I don't know, yeah. And it comes in number 3, Jeremy Williams, number 4, Darcy Swain, number 5, Champion De Cripini, number 6, Carlo Tazano, number 7, Violini Ikawasi comes in at number 8, number 9, Nathan Hasty. Number 10, Ben Donaldson returns. He had a bit of an injury. He's back now, so it's good to see that. Needed him for the Wallabies. Dylan Peach comes to number 11. Hamish Stewart, number 12. George Bridge comes to number 13. Zach Lomax returns number 14. Matt Greeley, number 15. It's fun. It's interesting with Zach Lomax as well. Jamie, not Jamie Joseph. Joe Schmidt has been looking at him, and some of the points that he made about Zach Lomax I thought was quite interesting. He made pretty much, he's been like, you know, I'm surprised how good memory and how good of memory, how high attention to detail that Joe Schmidt has been when it comes to watching a lot of the players. And he made a few points where, you know, he had to be watching pretty closely through a number of different games to make those points. You know, sometimes you watch Eddie Jones, he just talks shit. When you see a Joe Schmidt interview, he remembers everything because he's actually watched all the games, right? He talked about Lomax's defense, how he got flooded by the Crusaders in his channel and he missed the tackle. High ball was working fine, but it not as good as he would like against Lawson Crichton for the Waratahs. So he wanted to see a bit more of that. Those areas maybe be exploited a little bit. But it's interesting to see how much, you know, Joe Schmidt has been paying attention to this player and across multiple different games as well. So it's really, really good to see that. Matt Grudy comes to number 15. Nick Doley, number 16. Marley Pierce, number 17. Seth Faingasi, number 18. Franco Molia, number 19. Will Harris, number 20. Augustine Mayano comes in number 21. Boston Fakafanua, number 22. And 23, Curly Beale, finishing off the Western Force team for the weekend. Several reasons to play a 100th test match for the Crusaders. I think he's going overseas next season. But the Crusaders got a pretty easy game coming up against the Hurricanes. Will Jordan, once again, injured for the Crusaders. His leg pulled up again. So, yeah, too much creatine, mate. Too much creatine. And then we've got the, you know, it is a bit disappointing because luckily the Waratahs has already been, like, eliminated. The Hurricanes basically put on like the B team. They've got 3 debutants and a guy that only got 1 cap overall. So this is just like a completely like a fresh team. You know, yeah, 3 debutants. No, Roy Gart's probably the only big name in the back line. You've got, I guess Morby is pretty big name as well. But yeah, Roy Gart is, you know, certified world class, you know, All Black, and no Jordy Barrett's hurt, pretty sure. And then no, Fang Anofo is hurt as well. You got Ruben Love is out. So Ruben Love not playing. So really like pretty light team for the Crusaders to run over to secure, you know, to really solidify their finals position on the ladder. The Scooter, Scotty Barrett, the All Black captain, has a back issue. So he's going to go under the knife, and which means to be out for another 3 to 5 months. So Scooter, it's a bit interesting because when he returned, he was supposed to only take 6 months off. He's kind of returned to like the training with. He had a surgery for, I think, for leg or something. But anyway, he had a bit of a fix up to do for before he came back to the Crusaders fold. And then they were like, oh, Scotty is not really performing at anywhere near the level that we needed him to play, even just for the Crusaders matches, let alone the All Blacks. Turns out he hasn't been feeling 100%. And then they checked that he's got a back issue. Yeah, so he's going to go to surgery for this. And hopefully, he will not be back for 5 months, or it's probably going to be done for the rest of the year by the looks of it. Maybe November he'll be back. He might make it that, but yeah, November it's going to be tough. The Crusaders head coach, Rob Penny, also decided to step down. So Scott Hansen, the guy that's supposedly running the All Blacks, when I say running the All Blacks, I mean who was fulfilling the role as of a coach when Razor was operating it, because Razor was more like a manager. So he was the one that's basically operating the All Blacks when Razor was, supposedly the head coach. He will be taking over the Crusaders from next season. It's Rob Penny's decision to call it after 3 seasons. So Will Jordan's out. And then we've got Wallace Atiti who come back against the Blues. So there's still a bit of a fight left in these two teams to finish off the season. What's his name? This is Anton Lennon-Brown's brother. What's his name? Daniel Lennon-Brown, banned for 4 weeks for a high shot on the weekend. So the European Champions Cup had their finals this weekend and Challenger Cup on the weekend. Only watched the Champions game. Didn't watch the Challenger Cup game because I got spoiled. Got spoiled a bit, so I just watched, only watched the Champions game. Leicester versus Bordeaux Begler. Apparently, people just call it UBB. And, and the fact that I thought Begler was like the name of the team got a lot of people offended, but apparently Bordeaux Begler is 2 teams combined. So they just call it UBB, Union Bordeaux Begler. Yeah. Something like that. I'm learning French, okay? Liet, che, or whatever, okay? I'm learning the scrum course, okay? Millie, okay? Flexion? Yes. Flexion, Liet. Yes, learning the scrum calls. But this was a pretty one-sided game. Jokes aside, Leinster was too stale. They didn't have any flair whatsoever. It's almost like a test team try to smother another team out of by smothering another team to submission, and just couldn't quite do it. There was way too much flair, way too much kicking prowess from the Beglers. Something that we haven't seen a lot out of the Super Rugby teams, especially for the Australian sides, is having the 10, giving the 10 more kicking opportunities, especially when you're at that around the halfway point, right? The Beglers a lot of times go to the 10 and they just do a bit of a trick instead of just the box kick, right? You just do a bit of a get the 10 to shift the ball around a bit with some 50-22 attempts up, just whatever, right? And that just really spiced things up, and Leinster were just not able to cope with the variety of attack from the Beglers. The kicking game really was what cost the Leinster the most. Obviously, Bielbieri was such a big point of difference for Beglers as well. Keep calling them Beglers. UBB as well, and it was just not on the same level. No one at the same level to be able to match that for the two sides. So pretty big loss. Sam Prendergast wasn't playing this game. A lot of you guys told me that, he hasn't performed at all, which I agree. I watched him miss tackles against Toulon. And yeah, but, I thought if you're down so much, having someone like bit of a wild card, right, off the bench and just, do a couple haymakers and see what happens would have been what you needed. But I think maybe the coaching staff didn't quite expect to be blown out so much, and they that's probably the thing. To be honest, I there was some talks the Colin, the head coach, might get replaced, and I thought Razor would be a great replacement for you guys, because he might not be quite suited to the national level just yet, but for club levels he's definitely delivered results for the Crusaders, and I think that might be something that Leinster could be considering. The other game was Montpellier versus Ulster, just absolute hammering over Ulster. Montpellier there's a few big names in Montpellier. I'm surprised, and former Aussies. Tom Banks, I think. I don't know if he played this game. can't remember, but Tom Banks plays for Montpellier. There was Miotti, Domingo Miotti, the Argentinian guy, played for the Western Force for a while. I'm pretty sure like one of my first videos about rugby was watching Miotti almost beating the beating the Chiefs, playing for the Western Force. I think he missed the penalty or missed the conversion after the scoring a try. But yeah, I still remember that guy quite a bit. And there was Jordan Wulesi in Montpellier as well. Ricky Riccatelli, the guy that played for the Blues for quite some time, also Montpellier. Yeah, I felt like I probably missed some other guys as well, but it was quite a number of former Super Rugby players at Montpellier that's doing really, really well for themselves. Billy Vunipola, who was born in Sydney, by the way, another Aussie, I guess you could call him, but long-term England player at Montpellier as well. But yeah, there was a pretty brutal beating over Ulster. So Joey Carberry is coming back to Leinster, which will be interesting, especially with Sam Prendergast. Are they just going to let him go? What's going on there? He's signed until 2028 or something. He's got a couple of years. And obviously Ben Smith claimed that Hurricanes will be better than the UBB, which I do agree for once. For once, I agree with this guy, right? A lot of you guys are angry. I see all the Instagram posts about how he doesn't know what he's talking about. I do agree. The Hurricanes can beat UBB in a showdown match. But with finding out Anoffel going overseas next year, might not be the case next year when the Club World Cup comes around. So who knows? Anyway, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys later. Cheers.